What is your first focus? When you wake up in the morning, what's the very first thing that you focus on? Are you aware of that? It might even before, I'm not talking about the first thing you do, which for most people in this day and age is to grab your phone. For better or worse, that's where we're at. But I'm not talking about the first thing you do. I'm talking about the first thing you focus on. Are you aware of that? You might want to become aware of that. You want to study that for the next couple of days. I call it first focus. And it's an extremely important little tweak that you can make that can set you up to feel more confident, to be more empowered that whole day, and to be able to steer your life in the way that you want. Because what happens in the first moments of our day, we're priming ourselves for the whole day. Priming is when, based upon what input happens, it shifts your focus, it shifts what you see or don't see, and it shifts your reality, basically. And many of us, without knowing it, are priming ourselves for a rough day. You know, maybe the first thought you have when you wake up is like, you focus on like how you feel, and you're like, I feel tired. And then you have a thought that goes like, oh, today's gonna suck, I didn't get enough sleep. So you're priming yourself for what? For lack, for not enough, for feeling low energy. Yikes. You know, maybe you wake up and you're more energized. You're like, all that shit I gotta do. It's like you fell asleep last night and your to-do list is like, you gotta do that, you gotta do that, you gotta do that, you fall asleep. Wake up, you gotta do that, it just unpauses, you gotta do that, what's coming, you didn't get that thing. You know, and not only just the literal thoughts, but like, what's your attitude, your stance, your energy towards that? Is it like, oh, there's all this shit I gotta do today, oh, the day's coming to get me. Is that your first focus? So I'm using first focus versus first thought because it might be not just a thought, it's a stance, it's an energy, it's an attitude, it's how you're looking at things and the thoughts that you're having. So what is it for you? That's the first part, is to study it. The second part is, what do you want it to be? To live an extraordinary life, to discover, like to live the life where you have the feelings that you want to have the most. Because that's truly at the end of the day what creates an extraordinary life. It's not if you flew on a plane, and people love to talk about the adventures they had. Like, oh, I was jet setting here. And it's like, okay, but what if I was like, I was jet setting here and I was depressed and anxious the whole time? That's not as awesome, right? It's like, what if it was like, I didn't go anywhere, I sat in my backyard, but I felt euphoric rapture. You're like, well, what did that dude take? I want that one, right? So it's about the feelings that you have. So what are some of the feelings you'd love to experience? Confident, free, expressive, energized, alive, grateful, whatever. Just pick a couple that you would think, yeah, if I had a day where I felt those feelings a lot, that would be an awesome day. Okay, great. That's a pretty good step. Now, what would your first focus need to be that would prime you? That sounded very Obama-esque. Maybe I'm watching too many political comedy. I'm not even trying to do an Obama impression. I just think I just did one there. Anyway, what would it need to be for you to feel those feelings? What would your first focus need to be? Well, a simple one is if I want to feel more gratitude in my life, maybe my first focus could be what I'm grateful for. That's just one example. That's a good one. That's a catch-all, right? I mean, who couldn't benefit from more gratitude, right? Everyone loves gratitude. Religions love gratitude. Science loves gratitude. Gratitude's great, right? So, okay, let's use it. So what could you shift that focus? The second you wake up, you're like, and you're like, oh, right. Thank you. Thank you for what? I don't know. You make it up for you. Thank you for my family. Thank you for my health. You just do that. 20 seconds, 10 seconds. It shifts things. And you do it again the next day. You do it again the next day. And guess what? There'll come a day, not that far out, probably even just a week of doing this, maybe even less, where you wake up, the first thing you think, focus, what you're grateful for. So you get to choose. Doesn't always have to be gratitude. For a while, I did this where my first focus was a mantra. And I said, I am strength, I am health, I am discipline. It was a time in my life where I found it really hard to stick to, especially a physical routine, getting up in the morning. So I'd wake up, and as soon as my alarm would go off, I'd say, I am strength, I am health, I am discipline. I am strength, I am health, I am discipline. That was priming me for what? That's right, action, to get out, to go do things, to be physical. So you got to find what the right medicine for you is at the time. You choose your own adventure. If you don't like it, pick a new one. But the key thing is you got to have a first focus, and it's got to be chosen. And I highly recommend not going directly to something that's going to, as soon as you do your first focus, you're like, I'm grateful for this, I'm grateful for that. Yeah. Plug into the device and just like absorb a bunch of shit. Like, be really conscious about the information you're taking in, especially early in the morning, but probably throughout your whole life. But I would highly recommend not using social media, not using email, not using any of that stuff when you first wake up. That's just my personal opinion. There's tons of research about that, how it spikes your cortisol, increases your sense of being an effect or a victim of life. Why? Because you're taking in a bunch of information. It's going to start determining your state, your emotional state for the whole day. Steer clear. And then maybe even start looking at being way more conscious of that stuff in general. But that's a topic for another video. Fantastic. Thanks for being with me today. Until you speak again, may you have the courage to be who you are and to know on a deep level that you're awesome. I'll talk to you soon.